The Bayut 2024 Project of the Year is back. Damac Islands is set to release its second phase and expressions of interest are now open. If you didn't hear about the first phase, then Damac Islands is an off-plan project master developed by Damac, and it's set to be townhouses and villas. They begin at 4 bedrooms from what we've seen from the previous launch, all the way up to 7 bedrooms. So the theme of the first launch was around holiday destinations. So you had the likes of Maldives, Bora Bora, just to give you an idea of what Damac were going for. First phase is set to hand over in December 2028, so it is still a little time away until we see this materialise, and it is likely that we'll see phase 2 handover a little bit later, 2029. But let's have a look at the project itself and what we can expect for phase 2. So if you weren't here for it in November 2024, then Damac Islands was really pushed by Damac. It was advertised everywhere. Really demanded by investors, and it's seen Damac sell over 3,100 units on the day, generating over 10 billion worth of sales from the units. So all this happened in just 10 hours. So on the back of the success from the first phase, we have seen a lot of people waiting for the next phase to launch, and now 10 months has passed and they're looking to now take EOIs, and the project will likely be launching in the next few weeks. We are bringing this information super early, with EOIs just opening a couple of days ago, so the brochures themselves are not out yet. However, we do expect to see a new master community that is going to offer some new aspects of Damac Islands, but certainly come with the same theme that we've seen previously. Starting prices would just be a guess at the moment. However, with the time that's passed and the demand on the project, we can probably expect to see anywhere from a 5 to 10% increase on the units themselves for this second phase. So the one thing that has been announced for Damac Islands Phase 2 is the EOI amounts. Of course, with this just opening a couple of days ago, we are releasing this information super early, and we have 4-bedroom EOIs coming in at 110,000 for the 5 bedrooms, up to 200,000. Of course, if you've not invested off plan before, expressions of interest or EOIs, they are fully refundable. So if you are looking to get in early on this project, then it is best to send over the money as early as possible, as it works like a queue. The earlier that you put down your EOI, the better the pick that you will have on the day of launch. From what we've seen previously and how well it's performed, we can expect the same demand, if not more, on this project. So certainly would advise getting in early here. With the prices not quite out yet for phase 2, we have pulled together some reports of what we've seen on phase 1. Of course, there is a variety in prices between each unit and each cluster, as they do offer something different in terms of potentially view, if it's back to back, single row, and also the sizing as well on each unit will vary. However, on the lower end, what we did see was 4-bedroom townhouses transact sort of between 2.1 to 2.2 at the starting price, with plot sizes of 1,550 and unit sizes of 2,190. 5-bedroom townhouses, the cheapest we saw was at the 3 million mark, with a plot of 2,440 and a unit size of 3,160. Now 6 bedrooms, we did see these start at 6.1 million with a plot of 4,844 and a unit size of 4,400. And lastly, you did have 7 bedrooms in this project that were the luxury waterfront villas. These are really premium and started at 15.8 million with a plot of 10,848 square foot and a unit size of 17,121. The payment plan used in phase 1 was a 75-25, so 75% during construction and 25 on handover, with an expected handover date of Q4 2028. So looking at the numbers, you'll be able to understand that the price per square foot in this project was really affordable. When we look at it on the lowest end, we've seen around 950 dirhams per square foot, and on average around 1,100. Dubai in general is sitting at just under 1,900 dirhams per square foot on average. So on the lower end here, we've seen almost half the price of the average square foot across Dubai. So going back to the location of Damac Islands, if you have not seen the first launch, it is in Dubai land. It is connected to Town Square and Mira/Mira Oasis. So it's in other family communities meaning the sub-communities around Damac Islands are targeting a similar market in terms of affordable living and typically families. Both Town Square and Mira and Mira Oasis are demanded areas that have seen capital appreciation over time and are now sitting at just over 1,400 dirhams per square foot on average, despite being a little bit further back from the water, for example the Palm, the Marina, etc. Damac Islands will be in a really excellent location. It will be situated between both the current airports, so you'll have around 35 minutes to DXP Airport, and then the future airport, being Al Maktoum Airport, will only be around 30 minutes away. You would have a 30 minutes drive to downtown, and you would have around 25 minutes to the Marina, JBR and the Palm. Of course, it's important to note that when you're traveling in peak times here, to add a little bit time to your travel. So of course, if it's going to downtown in peak time in the morning, then maybe add an extra 20 minutes, for example. So in terms of roads for Damac Islands, it will be accessed through the Emirates Road E611. It's also immediately close to the Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Road E311 and easy to reach from Al Qudra and Al Qudra Road links also. As right now, there's not the metro in place for Damac Islands or Town Square. Hopefully this is something that we'll get in the future, and more methods of travel to make this a little bit easier. So as you can imagine, with the 3,100 units sold in the first phase, Damac Islands is going to be a massive community and it's got a lot to offer with it. So the plan for Damac Islands is to be a resort style living, and with the master plan, with what's in place, it definitely meets that criteria. I've never really seen a master plan like this in terms of the amenities, lifestyle, and what is actually in the community is really unique. Keep in mind, this information of amenities is just from phase 1 and the phase 2 brochure is not out yet, so we can potentially expect to see even more coming from the community. So to name a few of the attractions and activities, you have an Aqua Dome, which will be a restaurant that's sitting on the water. You've got paddling as a gondola style, you've got a zip line, you've got river rapids, you've got a wildlife park, fitness park, private boat riding, you have Jungle River, Aqua Park, Parrot Park, Tortoise Garden, and that's just to name a few. So there's a lot more in this community and likely more to come in phase 2. So as you can imagine, for families, especially with kids, this is going to produce a great experience. As an end user though, it's still got everything else that you would need it to offer. So there is schools nearby. So you have James First Point School, Jebel Ali School, Ranches Primary School for your younger children, and Dubai British School. Alongside this, you have clinics nearby and a hospital in around 20 minutes away. So there is really everything on your doorstep for a family if you are in this community. So the target for the product itself is really families. Of course, they have began at 4 bedrooms for the first launch, so we can't really expect it just to be a couple in here. It's going to be a lot of families. It will also work for investors as it's got so much to offer and it's a cheap price point versus the other communities nearby. Lastly, this is quite rare for a townhouse and villa community. However, I do feel it will appeal to short-term lets. So for families to come stay on holiday, or potentially someone to come over 6 months, let's say, while the weather's good here. This is unusual typically, as people will stay on hotels on the Palm, JBR, Marina to get this experience. However, further back with the resort style that this is going to offer, I feel they'll get the same, if not better experience here at a cheaper price point. Phase 1 is still a while away from being ready, so having a look at the sub-communities such as Town Square and Mira Oasis, we can see here that Town Square has a rental yield of 5% for long-term stays, which is sort of the average here in Dubai. So what I can say is that we can expect potentially as a minimum something similar. As we've mentioned, with everything that this has to offer, I feel you get a higher rental yield here than you will typically for townhouses and villas. So let's round up the pros and cons for Damac Islands to help you understand if it's something that you should potentially invest in. So firstly, it's a unique product. As we mentioned, at this price point, there's no one offering something similar in terms of lifestyle and the amenities that the community brings. Secondly, with it having such a long handover time, with potentially Q2 2029 is probably what we would expect, then you're on a 75-25 payment plan, which is going to be paid over time. So it's a non-aggressive payment plan, making it affordable. Lastly, the product is Damac. So it's easily resellable, it's the second biggest developer in Dubai, and to go alongside this, Damac has a track record of delivering master communities. So it's done it already with Damac Hills, and it's done it with Damac Hills 2, that have seen great appreciation in the past. The cons for the project itself would firstly be that, yes, it is a long handover time. If you're looking for an end user, then yes, you need to wait a minimum of 3 to 4 years here. Secondly, Dubai land is such a large area that has a lot of land still to be built on, so we can't say for sure that there's not going to be similar competition in these areas in the future for townhouses and villas. However, this is something you could say across the whole of Dubai. So as you can probably tell, despite a year passing, this is still an exciting project in today's market. The pricing, whether it comes to 5 to 10% more expensive, will still be super affordable versus what's in the market. And with the lack of quality townhouses and villas in Dubai, it's certainly something that will appeal to investors. So then, if you do have the ability to wait until mid-2029 to get into this project, and are keen to get into one of the hottest projects of the year, then feel free to book a call with us on the link below, or alternatively, for more real estate content, click the link above.